wanted to talk to one of our star journalists, Alexa Lavoie, because she was able to do something that a conference full of journalists refused to do. I'm not going to say they weren't able to do, but they refused to do it. And that was to buttonhole New Zealand's former prime minister about why the heck she was in Canada to push her bad ideas on Canadians.
They don't like your ideas. Why are you coming here in Canada to sell them to Canadian?
Thank you.
Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you.
Why are you selling your bad ideas to Canadian?
Alexa, thanks for coming on the show. I know you and I are both very, very busy today, so we're both taking time out of fighting for freedom to talk about this. But I think it is really important because it is true. That was a conference wriggling full of journalists, and you were the only one daring to ask a difficult question to these people. Give us the context of what brought you there and why you decided to go.
But first of all, we took part of the first time. It was last year, and it was in a secret location again. And we knew there were a lot of people taking part of it, as Keir Starmer. Now, at that time, it was running
Sorry, you say it. What is it exactly? Because it was a meeting of like globalist progressives, but what are they supposed to be there to talk about?
So it's supposed to be the progressive think tank organization to come and to talk about all progressive ideas.
Sounds horrible.
So, it's mainly organized by Canada 2020, that is supposed to be a non-governmental organization. But Mark Carney is the advisory board chair. So it means a lot when you look at that, because he's a really good friend of Justin Trudeau.
He's his financial advisor right now.
Yeah, now.
So,
yes.
I mean, he's our de facto finance minister. I think much to Chrystia Freeland's embarrassment, he sits on the board of Canada 2020. They organize this Progressive Minds event. And we're not supposed to point out the conflicts of interest or hold any of them to account. It's all supposed to be independent, but it's just there to push Trudeau's ideas.
Exactly. And so that event, the Global Progress Action Summit, is taking place since, I think, 2006, when it was first created. But since Justin Trudeau is in power, this event, and especially Canada 2020, is under scrutiny at the House of Commons. There is a multiple order paper to know how much taxpayer money is being spent in those non-governmental organizations. Those are order paper. We can see that multiple different ministries have spent money for buying tickets. We talk about thousands of dollars of ticket being bought for director or different people, like in either it's a ministry or other like kind of like wing of the government, like organization or etc.
Okay, so that I'm glad you point that out, because that's a backdoor way these places get funded. Sometimes they get funding right up front by the likes of Heritage Canada or whatever, but then they get this additional funding by the government buying tickets for members of, whatever, name the bureaucracy, to attend these events, and they inflate the price of the events so it acts as a fundraiser. Isn't that neat?
And depending of the different event that they hold, they have different kind of prices, because it's not just the Global Progress Action Summit that they are holding every year. They have like other kind of like event for agri-food or other stuff. But what it was funny is like last year there were multiple big name of either former or prime minister or president or etc. And this year only Jacinda Ardern was one of the former prime minister. I think he had like another one from Norway. I'm not too sure, but they were all former, nothing like big name where they are still in place. We can see that people don't want them anymore. They don't like their idea, but they come in Canada to tell us how we should run our country and how their progressive ideas is working when it's not working. And it's why they are not in place anymore. And so I was kind of shocked because there were some journalists and some were working for American outlet that I'm not going to name the person because it would give her too much attention. But us as independent Canadian journalists, we were not allowed in, obviously. There were camera, but I didn't see journalists. I saw like camera of different outlets. And I'm just like, there is a big event happening. You send just camera to take footage, but nobody is there to challenge what they are saying and what they are hearing about what they are saying. Like literally they are protecting and pushing their ideas, but nobody is saying, but what about Canada that is actually crumbling right now under your ideas? What about now inflation? What about this? Why you are saying this? Because it's not really true. Why there is no journalist saying, wait a minute, you're promoting this, but it's obviously not working. So why are you spending so much money to do this kind of event? And as I say, Jacinda Ardern was the one that I wanted the most to cut on camera. And it was kind of really difficult because, first of all, the theater worker were watching for me, and also the bodyguard of Justin Trudeau. And so I just pretended to have left the place. So I was hiding in another entrance. And suddenly I saw Jacinda Ardern with some of the people probably that work with her. And I started to run towards her because I had the question for her. And, you know, it's really difficult, our job, because we don't just ask a question as journalists. Not only we need to ask the question, we need to run after them. And we need to block and stop the people who are physically blocking our camera, blocking us, pushing us away. And so it's pretty difficult because I had two people blocking my camera, blocking me physically to not interact with her. And I was like, who are you? You don't have the rights to touch me, but they did it anyway. So they jump on the car and they run away. And it's mostly what most of the people there did. It was really difficult to find the place. I was able to do it because I did an investigation on the place, and because I'm good at it, I was able to find the two places, the place that they hold their opening ceremony, but they changed the place to another location to make sure that if I discover the first place, I'm not going to discover the second place. But I discovered the second place. I went there and I saw quickly Justin Trudeau entering the theater, and obviously the RCMP tribe. I don't know if it's RCMP. I think it's part of the the bodyguard of Justin Trudeau. I don't know if it's member of RCMP or it's just like private protection. But they did a little bit what they did with Drea, taking me by my arm and putting me on the side for me to not just like take my camera and just have a shot, not even asking a question, just having a shot on camera of Justin Trudeau entering the building. And so I was waiting on the front. They were making sure to always have like an eye contact with me. And I saw that something was going on after multiple hours waiting in front. And at one point I was like, they are using another entrance. And at that moment, I went on the side all the way down, and I saw some of their car coming out of an alley. And when I turned into that alley, I was like, this is the garbage alley. Are you kidding me? You prefer to face like a garbage place than just to face an independent woman journalist who just want to ask you a quick question. So you decided to take the unglorious way to get out of that place.
I mean, it's a metaphor for his entire career. It's out with the garbage, sneaking out the back door with the trash. Justin Trudeau. But I really did appreciate your question to Jacinda Ardern. Why are you in Canada to push your bad ideas after New Zealand rejected your bad ideas and your party and elected a center-right government. Like, where do you get off continuing to push your failed ideas? You are a failure. Why drag Canada further down this path? And she was mortified because she never got those questions from the New Zealand media. She knew that she was perfectly safe to not get those questions from the mainstream Canadian media. She was mortified, horrified.
She was shaking.
Cowering.
I can tell you, she was shaking. She was like panicking. And I was just like, hey, just a quick question. Why are you coming here and pushing your bad ideas? And by the way, she's the one who had like the worst lockdown policies. She's the one who once said, if the information is not coming from our government, it's not the truth. Wait a minute. Since when the government tell the truth?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that somebody who had been the prime minister of the country would not be literally, actually, physically cowering with fear at the sight of a journalist. But that just goes to show you how bad the New Zealand media is and how she was so sure she was perfectly safe in Canada because Justin Trudeau has bought and paid for the majority of the Canadian media. So she has never, ever had a tough question in her entire life. She had to come halfway across the globe, circumvent the globe to get a tough question. And she shivered with fear.
It's the news event of the year. Canada's most controversial premier sits down with Canada's most controversial journalist, and everything is on the table. Come watch Ezra Levant one-on-one with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith in front of a live studio audience in Calgary. Nothing's off limits. Nothing's held back. Questions that would make Justin Trudeau invoke martial law. Answers that will make Stephen Guilbeault pee his pants. You're not going to want to miss this one. But you have to be there, in person, at the Rebel News Live mega conference in Calgary on October the 5th. Tickets are limited, so drop everything and go to rebelnewslive.com right now. Special discounted prices for Patriots and special extra high prices if you're with the CBC. Go to rebelnewslive.com now.